DJGamers.com.
So back in whenever the console came out, we hadn't seen much of this full motion video yet. So this was a big deal to have games that had this much detail.
Especially being full screen. A lot of the stuff we saw on earlier CD-ROM and CD-ROM based video game systems were just, you know, little screens, very pixelated. This looks really good, and
a square of video with the giant border.
you know, you can see the giant storm on Jupiter there. You know, that's pretty detailed.
And this is all full rendered. So
Yeah,
they did some really good jobs with the cutscenes.
Yeah, this is all done with computer-generated images. It looks really good. Now, again, once we get in the games, they're not quite as impressive, but for the time, very, very ambient and very ahead of the curve with all of this.
As you can tell, they have some nice flames going on there. I say we take door number 1.
Alright, so this is the gameplay aspect. As you see, it's choosing.
We're
And
picking our mission here. We have some sort of weird hooded guy setting us up.
Here we go.
Now we're going to look at the entire lifespan of the 3DO, as short as it was. And to start it off, we really have to talk about CEO's founder, Trip Hawkins. Trip Hawkins was a guy that came up into the video game industry early on, and he graduated from Harvard under video game design and theory, and he was the first person to ever graduate from Harvard majoring in that. So that was pretty impressive in itself. And he then went on to work at Apple, and he was one of the early employees at Apple.
Yeah, he was an early innovator.
Yeah, at a time when Apple was innovating the computer market, Tripp was there. And after working with them for a couple years, he decided to go out on his own.
As you can tell, this is a pretty nice first-person shooter.
It's very impressive to see what it's doing when the system was out at that time. You can see as the character gets closer to the screen, there's a lot of detail.
Yeah, I don't think the characters are actually 3D. I think they're sprites, but I think
When it gets closer to the screen, it looks like it's switching the video at that point.
I don't think this is actually 3D. I think this is faking it, but it looks good.
Absolutely
good
faking
faking.
it.
Yeah,
As you'll notice, the sprites as it comes up, let it get closer there, Ray.
you see the splatter on the
And
wall.
you'll
That's
see how
fun.
it changes over.
Can't let it get
I think
too close.
If you let them get close, you can see the detail excellently.
I want to survive here.
Yeah, this is definitely a game of survival. These guys come
Right.
running at you, and you've got to get to certain waypoints and accomplish certain goals. So it's a lot better than a lot of the early first-person shooters that were very simple, you know, run to a certain point, collect a key, open a switch. You had some specific objectives in this. And Ray is dead.
Well, if we take door number 2, that actually leads us into the story mode. That was basically your extras mode.
So,
So this takes us into the actual story, and you get more cutscene action here.
What an awkward game setup. Look at that, sitting on a throne.
yeah, it can't be real comfy.
No.
And so, so Trip Hawkins left Apple and went on to found his own company called Electronic Arts. And the whole goal of the company was to create innovative, creative video games. And Trip Hawkins came to the industry with a love of video games and wanted to see better products on the market, and was really one of the first third-party publishers that was out there. He founded EA in 1982. So they were out there early on in the industry.
Advance to this room. Okay.
So you see on the map there's certain points you're supposed to advance to. You can see your enemies coming at you. And it's not looking good.
No, it is not. I'm still amazed, as you said, Ron. It's a lot of trickery. It's not actual 3D. And as you can watch the gameplay, you can see a lot of what the trickery is going on, the scaling and rotating, such as I've said already, the sprites to video as it gets closer.
And it
Yeah.
chooses the video.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's an interesting effect how they actually turn into a pre-rendered video when
And
they
then
get up in your face. So that's what we're going to look at with all these games.
It's
Is-
a lot of tricks.
A lot of tricks and a lot of things worked and a lot didn't, but they couldn't pull off full 3D very well.
And we have
So-
to remember, this is in a time where nothing had really been tested by this, but we didn't know what standard 3D gaming was going to be, so it was an experimentation.
Yeah.
But it looked better than some other outings that came from the Sega CD and...
Absolutely. The detail is excellent, and this is all experimentation time, and they've seen what would work and what wouldn't, and the 3DO itself was an experiment in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and it came out in '93, and so this was, you know, ahead of the PC market, and it was ahead of all the home systems. It was by far the most powerful video game machine of its time.
Oh, one of those suckers snuck up on me.
So let's keep moving on with this.
Alright everybody, now we're taking a look at another game here on the 3DO. This is John Madden NFL.
John Madden Football.
John Madden NFL Football.
So, the official title is John Madden Football 93. And this would be the last one called John Madden Football. After this, they would just call it Madden NFL, which is what they still call it. And this is significant because it was the first and for a while the only CD version of the game that existed.
Yeah, another one didn't show up until the Sega Saturn's NFL 97.
Yeah, in 97 they released it on Windows, PlayStation, and Saturn, so it was a couple more years before they do that again, and they really did it up with the production and values compared to the 16-bit ones that were also available of basically the same game. You see, you have nice big characters, a lot of nice
CD quality audio.
Nice graphics.
And it's fast. That is the biggest comparison between this and a lot of different Madden games for the CD consoles.
Yeah, this is fast. It's running the 16-bit engine that the Genesis and Super Nintendo were running, and it looks great.
What, did he walk out of bounds?
I believe so.
Wow, that was a big gain I gave up there. I would say that probably the fastest one until we got towards the end of the PlayStation 1.
Yeah, and
because a lot of those early 3D ones were kind of slow.
So they really did it up for the 3DO's release because of course Trip Hawkins
had a vested stake in 3DO.
So it made sense to
put their best version on 3DO.
Yeah, and the game ran into some problems in development, so they didn't get it out right away. So the game was actually released in '94, but it's John Madden Football 93.
Yeah, it's a little bit of confusion there. We were actually discussing that before we started playing this.
But it is the only one on 3DO, and because 3DO just wasn't popular enough to merit the next port, even though EA was so tied in with them, which really shows where the system was.
How quickly it faded.
Yeah.
We're going to be adding a full motion video cartridge that plugs on the side of the machine, which will allow you to play video CDs, so you can get full motion movies in very high quality in stereo and play those. And then I think, though many consumers won't be able to take advantage of this, we're participating in a trial in Omaha, a cable trial, where consumers in Omaha will get to be able to get all of this over a cable network using the 3DO system as a set-top box. So that's another very exciting thing that'll happen product-wise.
NewGenGamers.com.